Sometimes it feels like there are so many people on the planet that we've filled up every corner of the world. But that's not really the case. There's still plenty of empty land out there and even more places that were once bustling with life but have since been abandoned. Of course, a place being abandoned isn't enough to make it fascinating. Some of Earth's forgotten spaces have transformed into breathtaking, mysterious locations you truly have to see to believe. Come along with us as we explore 15 of the most mysterious abandoned places that really exist. Number 15. Prehistoric Forest. There's a forest in Michigan where dinosaurs still roam. Well, of course, not in reality, but sort of. Prehistoric Forest opened in 1963 as a roadside attraction, offering tourists a strange blend of fiberglass dinosaurs, water rides, and even a fake volcano. It was bold, colorful, and completely ahead of its time, just like 2060 Movie. But when new highways rerouted traffic away from the park in the 1980s, the crowds disappeared like D.B. Cooper. By 2002, it was abandoned for good. These days, the jungle has crept back in. The dinosaurs stand broken and battered among the weeds, their paint peeling like old memories. Some sculptures were stolen. Others were smashed. A few still loom out of the overgrowth, looking like they're waiting for the next busload of kids that will never come. Walking through the prehistoric forest now feels eerie, like stepping into a dream that someone forgot to finish. Nature always reclaims what we leave behind, but here, it's happening one tooth, one claw, and one crumbling dinosaur at a time. Number 14. Escaledo Hotel. There's a massive hotel sitting in the jungles of Rio de Janeiro that never had a real beginning, let alone an ending. The Gavia Tourist Hotel, or as locals now lovingly call it, the Escaledo Hotel, started construction in the early 1970s with big and grand dreams. But by 1972, the company went bankrupt, leaving behind an empty 16-story shell swallowed by vines and rumors. Over the years, it hosted squatters, gang members, and occasional urban explorers chasing the breathtaking views from the top. Its skeleton still towers above the trees, slowly crumbling into the green. They say the climb is worth it for the view, but standing in that decaying structure with the jungle buzzing around you and the concrete groaning under your boots, you start to wonder whether the building itself even remembers what it was supposed to be. Some dreams don't crash overnight, they just get left behind to rot under the rain and the sun. Number Drizzen, Lechworth Village. If you ever find yourself near Rockland County, New York, you might catch sight of the broken remains of Lechworth Village, a place built with good intentions that went horribly wrong. Opened in 1911, it was meant to be a peaceful retreat for the mentally ill, spread out across 2,000 acres with nearly 150 buildings. Instead, overcrowding, abuse, and neglect quickly took over. Too many patients, not enough staff, and almost no oversight. Even children were admitted in droves. In 1950, a polio vaccine trial took place here, using an 8-year-old patient without his or his parents' consent. It worked, but at what cost? Over the decades, horror stories kept piling up until the authorities finally shut the place down in 1996. Walking the grounds today feels heavy, the halls are silent, but the weight of what happened there never leaves. The decaying walls and forgotten corridors tell the story better than any file or record ever could. Number 12. Fort Carroll. Fort Carroll was supposed to be Baltimore's shield against naval attacks, but the enemy never showed up, and neither did much of anything else. Built in the mid-19th century under the orders of Robert E. Lee, the hexagonal sea fort floated out in the Patapsco River like a stubborn relic of military paranoia. It was upgraded during the Spanish-American War, but again sat unused. By World War I, it was obsolete. By 1921, it was abandoned. Over the years, birds moved in and vines wrapped themselves around the crumbling brickwork. Today, trees grow through cracks in the walls, and flocks of seabirds have claimed the place as their private home. What was once built to repel invaders now barely holds itself together against the slow, brutal siege of nature. Nobody knows how much longer Fort Carroll will last before the river finishes what time started. But for now, it floats there forgotten and fading, a monument to human plans that never got used. Number 11. Cavern of Lost Souls. Well, you wouldn't expect to find a 50-foot mountain of rusted cars buried inside an abandoned slate mine, but that's exactly what's waiting in Corus, Wales. In the 1960s, when the mining stopped, people began tossing junk into the cavern without a second thought. Somewhere along the way, someone or a lot of someone started shoving whole cars down there. Now they sit stacked and rotting, half swallowed by a pool of unnaturally blue water. Nobody knows exactly when it started or why, but locals eventually gave it a fitting name, the Cavern of Lost Souls. Officials have tried to keep people away, warning the entire structure could collapse at any time. Still, urban explorers sneak in to stare at the bizarre sight. A graveyard of machines sealed in stone. The air smells like rust and old oil, the silence only broken by water dripping from the cavern ceiling. It's beautiful in a way that's hard to explain, and impossible to forget. Number 10. Bodhi State Historic Park. Some towns die pretty quietly. Bodhi, California didn't get that luxury. Perched high on a dry, dusty plateau, it lived fast during the gold rush and crashed just as quickly when the gold ran out. In its prime around 1879, Bodhi was chaos. 10,000 people, 50 mining companies, 65 saloons, brothels, gambling halls, and opium dens. Life here wasn't just hard, it was brutal. By 1888, only a few hundred stubborn souls remained, and by 1962, the last full-time resident had either moved or passed on. Today, Bodhi is frozen under a policy they call arrested decay, meaning nothing is rebuilt, nothing is torn down, just preserved in its slow crumble. If you walk through the town now, you'll see rusted cars, sun-bleached homes, and storefronts still holding ancient goods behind dusty windows. It feels less like a tourist stop and more like a place that didn't realize it was dead, a ghost town that refuses to let go of the past. It's like Mad Max Fury, but real. Number 9. Whitby Abbey. I've never seen anything in my entire life like this. It is just beyond beautiful. Every stone at Whitby Abbey feels like it's holding on to a secret. Set high on the cliffs of North Yorkshire, the ruins look out over the sea, battered by wind and time. It's easy to see why Bram Stoker stood here and thought about Dracula. The first monastery rose here in the 7th century, only to be destroyed by Danish raiders a few centuries later. The Gothic abbey that followed stood for centuries, until anti-Catholic riots and the chaos of war brought it crashing down. Even German battleships took a shot at it during World War II, accidentally blowing apart what was left. Today it's broken and beautiful, a place where history clings to every cracked pillar. Tourists still climb the long steps just to stand under the arches and feel that strange mix of awe and melancholy. Whitby Abbey isn't just a ruin, it's a beautiful ghost that never left the hillside. Number 8. Vroia Beach Resort. Vroia was once the playground of the rich and famous, a gleaming beachside escape where Hollywood stars vacationed and luxury hotels lined the coast of Famagusta. Then 1974 came. Turkish forces occupied the area during a conflict with Greek Cypriots, and Vroia was fenced off overnight, freezing the city in place. To this day, nobody lives there. Cars from the 1970s still sit abandoned in garages, designer clothes still hang in closets, and tables are still set for meals no one will ever eat. Walking through Vroia now feels like stumbling into a scene that's been paused for 50 years. The eerie quiet isn't just from the lack of people, it's from the sense that life was interrupted mid-breath and never allowed to continue. Behind the barbed wire and decaying walls, Vroia stands as a chilling time capsule of a life, a city and a history that never got to finish telling its story. Well, it's pretty sad, but let's talk about the next pick. Number 7. Horus Drew Mansion. The Horus Drew Mansion in Jacksonville looks like it belongs in a Southern Gothic novel, grand, ghostly, and full of unspoken stories. Built in 1909 by Dr. Horace R. Drew, the home is a blend of British Tudor Revival, Spanish colonial, and Queen Anne architecture. On the third floor, a professional-grade billiards room still holds its table, once used by silent film stars like Laurel and Hardy when Jacksonville briefly flirted with being Hollywood's rival. After Drew's death, the mansion changed hands a few times before falling into abandonment by 1967. It didn't just gather dust, it gathered legends. In 1973, a human head was found buried in the backyard. Inside, an old Christmas tree still stands, and a grand piano sits gathering dust. The house sold in 2015 for just $40,000, but restoring it is expected to cost nearly $1 million. The mansion is a beautiful ruin, a place where the past lingers like perfume in the empty halls. Number 6. Saint Lauron Surr. Saint Lauron Surr isn't a ghost town by accident. It's a place shaped by history's heaviest footsteps. Tucked into the Normandy coast, the quiet village today feels more like a memory than a living town. A beautiful, haunting D-Day memorial rises from the sand, honoring those who stormed the beaches during World War II. If you look past it, you'll notice the fields dotted with abandoned churches and faint traces of the old airfield, Advanced Landing Ground A-21, the first built after the Allies landed. Once home to over 240 people, today the population has dwindled to only a handful. The air feels heavier here, like it's carrying the weight of everything that happened and everything that was lost. Despite the emptiness, Saint Lauron Surr remains stunningly beautiful, where the ocean meets the sky with a quiet kind of grace. It's not just abandoned, it's a living reminder that peace is often bought at a price written into the land itself. Number 5. Tien Duchen Ghost Paris. Building a replica Eiffel Tower might seem like a shortcut to glamour, but in Tien Duchen, China, it turned into a shortcut to nowhere. In 2007, the dream was big. Create a French-style paradise complete with a 354-foot Eiffel Tower, broad boulevards, and charming townhouses. It was supposed to house 10,000 people. Barely 2,000 ever moved in, and most of them didn't stay long. Blame it on the location, stuck between stretches of farmland and awkwardly close to downtown Hangzhou. Blame it on cheap construction, where cute storefronts turned out to be just painted walls. Whatever the reasons, Tien Duchen never became the dream it sold itself to be. Today, the streets echo with emptiness, and the fake Parisian charm feels like a movie set that forgot the actors. Tourists still wander in for photos, snapping selfies against the lonely tower. But the town itself stands strangely silent, a postcard-perfect fantasy nobody ever wanted to live in. Number 4. Penn Hills Resort. There was a time when Penn Hills Resort in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania was the ultimate romantic escape. Newlyweds flocked here for honeymoons, lounging in heart-shaped jacuzzis and swimming in pools shaped like wedding bells. A couple's dreams. But sadly, the romance didn't last for long. Penn Hills closed its doors in 2009, and what remains today is something straight out of a post-apocalyptic love story. Gardens have been overgrown into jungles. Mold and fungus crawl up the cracked walls. Skylights shattered long ago, letting rain and snow pour into the abandoned rooms. Inside, the furniture slumps under decades of rot, and hallways feel more like swamp tunnels than hotel corridors. What was once marketed as a dream getaway now looks like a set piece from a Hollywood horror film. Still, there's a strange sadness to it all, the idea that so many honeymoons ended their journeys here, in a place that couldn't escape time's slow, relentless breakdown. Penn Hills didn't just lose its guests, it lost its heart too, like Romeo. Number 3. Kurashio Inn. Reaching the abandoned Kurashio Inn takes effort, but those who make the hike up the hill on Shikoku Island are rewarded with one of Japan's most haunting views. Hidden among the wild boars and deer, this forgotten hotel has been empty since the 1970s, judging by its retro turquoise leather chairs and crumbling chandeliers. Most of the building is a ghost shell now, but the old bar and restaurant steal the show. Giant windows frame a spectacular, uninterrupted view of the ocean, a view that once drew guests here for luxury, now left only to the wind and the memories. The bar's dusty chairs still face the sea, as if waiting for someone who will never return. No one knows exactly why the hotel was abandoned, but standing inside, surrounded by peeling wallpaper and sagging ceilings, you feel how time can hollow out a dream without fanfare. The Kurashio Inn doesn't just overlook the ocean, it stares straight into the past. Number 2. Kings Park Psychiatric Center. At one point, Kings Park was practically a town of its own. Opened in 1855 on Long Island, it started small with only 55 patients. Within a few decades, it had ballooned to a sprawling complex housing over 9,000 psychiatric patients. The center kept expanding, adding farms, workshops, and even its own private railway system. But behind the growth were dark stories: severe overcrowding, mistreatment, and conditions that newspapers couldn't ignore. By the early 1900s, there were more people living inside Kings Park than in some nearby towns. Despite growing scandals, the facility operated until 1996 before it was finally abandoned. Today, what's left are eerie halls, shattered windows, and collapsing brickwork. It's not just the buildings that feel heavy, it's the echo of lives spent locked away from the world. Even seasoned urban explorers say that Kings Park isn't a place you linger in after dark. The walls remember too much. If you want to go somewhere where no one can listen to your cry, then this place is it. Number 1. Nikicoia International Airport. Walking through Nikicoia International Airport today feels like stepping straight into 1974 and getting trapped there. The lounge chairs are still lined up neatly. The planes are still out on the runway rusting under the sun. The dust has settled on everything like a second skin. When Greek nationalists seized the airport during a coup and Turkish forces closed in, the United Nations stepped in to freeze the fighting and the airport along with it. Caught in the middle of a demilitarized zone, Nikicoia was abandoned overnight. Nobody ever came back to finish the journey. Time chipped away at the walls and peeled the paint, but the bones are all still there: check-in counters, faded ads, silent terminals. It's a place built for movement and connection, now suspended in total silence. If you stand still long enough, you can almost hear the echo of flights that were supposed to leave but never did. What do you think about it? Will you dare to visit it? Well, let us know. And as we always say in the end, if you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content like this. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.